Okay, welcome to the world's worst diabetes parent meetup. We're already a little bonkers over here as we're trying to navigate through using a third-party app to be on Facebook. So hi, I am your host, Stacey Simms. I'm assuming this is going live on Project Blue November's page. We're really excited you can join us. I'm going to bring my guests on in just a second. StreamYard is a little bit different from some other Facebook apps. One of the things that you should be able to do is comment. Sometimes it makes you ask for permission, but if you comment, we should see you. So if you're one of the people already jumping on, and thank you so much, could somebody just comment and say, we see you, or like throw a virtual tomato at me or something so that we can make sure that the comments are working. Because if not, we'll jump on the page on the secondary device. Also, and I have to get this right out of the way, I've done lives like this before where 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in, it kicks you off for whatever reason. Oh, Katrina, thank you so much for commenting. Thank you. Okay, great. We're seeing all the comments. Yay. Thank you so much. Wonderful. This is my equivalent of testing 1, 2, 3. So if we get bonked off of Facebook, we'll actually more than likely keep going over here. So in that event, I will edit everything together afterward and we'll put it out as a YouTube video or something like that later. Having said that, there is a contest, and I'm going to talk about that more as we go. The contesting rules will change a little bit if we get thrown off of Facebook Live, because that's not fair, right? But we'll just take it as we go and go from there. So, tonight is all about sharing mistakes, and maybe using this app was a mistake. We will find out. But I have some great guests, and I'm really excited to bring them on. Now, one of the things with this app is we cannot bring everybody on at once. But I think that I can bring almost everybody on. So let's bring everybody on to say a quick hello, and then we will start our stories. So I'm Stacey Simms, your host tonight. I am the host of Diabetes Connections, a weekly podcast all about type 1 diabetes, providing information and inspiration, I hope, on a weekly basis. I'm also the author of The World's Worst Diabetes Mom, which is all about making mistakes, learning from them, and how we should all try to make more mistakes to give our kids confidence and resilience. All right, that's the whole spiel. Let me bring on my lovely guests. I'm going to start with Maura. Hello, Maura.
Here's the cat.
Frankie,
say hi.
What's your cat's name?
Franklin.
Oh.
That's Kennedy. Oops, why? The cat just turned the TV on. And that's Edward Kennedy, the cat over there.
So I mentioned this was all about mistakes. So that's okay if the cat's getting the TV. So Maura is, I don't know, I'll just introduce everybody kind of quickly. And then when you tell your stories, we'll go from there. Maura is the author of many books, many articles, not just in the diabetes world. She's a travel writer, but the author of Raising Teens with Diabetes and a great blog, Despite Diabetes. How are you doing?
I am doing great.
Excellent.
Considering.
Yeah, well, right. It's all relative now. And Maura's daughter was diagnosed very young, 6 years old, 7 years old, right? Kindergarten, first grade?
23 years ago.
Yeah.
In October in kindergarten. Yes.
Wow. All right. We also have Tiffany joining us. Tiffany used to work with the College Diabetes Network. You have your son, I don't know if we share his name, so I'll say your son F. And he is how old?
That's fine. It's Fisher.
Okay.
And he's 11 and he was diagnosed at age 6.
Wow. And Tiffany and I have this weird thing where we knew each other before diabetes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I was worked for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and you were an MC for our annual gala. And the only person that I knew who had a kid with diabetes and worked with JDRF. And as soon as I was in the emergency room and we were being diagnosed, I was messaging you on Facebook and saying, what's happening? And you're the only person I know that knows anything about this. So help me. And you did. And you've been amazing.
Well, thank you. And quick fact, one time, Maura, I spotted Tiffany in a giant amusement park because her kid had one of those little sling bags that everybody has now from Amazon, right? It's that little $10 sling bag. And I was like, diabetes kid. Oh, wait, it's Tiffany. All right, Christina is here. Christina, hello.
Hi.
So Christina is mom to triplets who in my brain will always be 2, but are now 9, right? Inspired by Isa is your deal. Isabella is the triplet with type 1. How are you? Are they really 9? Did I make that up?
They are 9. I know. Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing, it's like Maura said, as considering, the circumstances. I am thrilled I'm still able to bring my earring game.
I was going to say, look at your hair. I got excited that I washed my hair tonight. So very, very happy to see you. All right. And let's bring in Michelle. Michelle is one of the admins here at Project Blue November. And thank you for partnering with me on this. And I really appreciate that. Maura is too. Wait, I'm pointing the wrong way. I've got to get my Brady Bunch game, right? We've all been doing Zoom. You'd think I'd get it down by now. Michelle, how old was your son? Because he's a young adult now. How old was he when he was diagnosed?
He was 9. He was in the 3rd grade, and now he's 22.
We could do a trivia game. There's no bingo cards for this one, but maybe next time.
Half birthday today too. So happy half birthday.
Half birthday.
Yeah, he maybe shares a birthday with somebody.
Oh, wait, no. Okay. Oh. Wait, Maura, today is your birthday?
No, it's my
Half birthday.
Oh, well.
And thanks for not doing one of those parades by my house, but whatever.
Half birthday. All right. We're joined by Tina. I've got one more person. So we're almost done with the introductions. Everybody's saying hi to you guys in the comments. I don't know if you can see them. Tina. I met Tina at the Friends for Life conference. I think I had met you previously, but my first memory is that your son stole French fries from me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Community French fries. He just walked up and started eating them.
It was so funny. Well, Tina has 3 children with type 1, and her blog is Stick With It Sugar. And I don't know how old anybody is. I don't know how old anybody is when they were diagnosed. I don't know how you keep track, but you do an amazing job.
Yeah. Well, we all have mistakes, right? That's what we're here to talk about.
That is what we're here.
They're 22, 18. He just turned 18 like 3 days ago, and then almost 16.
All right. So I'm going to just do this kind of randomly because I've got to swap people out. So we're going to swap Tiffany and we're going to bring in Mark. Mark is one of the co-hosts of Dads and Diabetes. We Let a Boy In. We have a dad here tonight. So Mark, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm feeling very scruffy.
Don't worry. We all are. So your daughter was diagnosed 2 years ago, to remind me.
2.5 years ago.
And she is how old now?
She is 12 and a half. She would want me to say the half. Yeah,
we're doing a lot of half birthdays tonight.
Yeah.
Excellent. And we didn't say where we were all from, but Mark is obviously from Texas.
Not originally, but yes.
Yes, he does. He lives in Texas.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the quick introductions. I don't know about you guys, and I have this problem on Zoom too, is I'm forever like looking. So I'm going to try to like not look at myself because I haven't washed my hair in a couple of days either. I feel funny. Like I have hair. Michelle.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
All right, let's start. I'll tell my story. You guys tell me. I think you can kind of move the screen around, or maybe I'm the only one who can. But we'll see how this works with everybody on here. And if you do have questions as we go, as you're watching on Facebook, definitely jump them in and put them on the comments. But here's my story, and it happened very, very, very early on. My son was diagnosed in 2006, right before he turned 2, and we went to a pump in the summer of 2007, just after 6 months. We decided that we would go to an insulin pump the weekend that we would travel to my parents' house. We were in North Carolina, they're in New York. And the thinking was, this will be great because we're going to have to check him around the clock, no CGM for us in 2007. We're going to poke his finger at least every 2 to 3 hours around the clock to get those really good pump settings going. So we went to my parents' house. And then, oh, by the way, my husband every year went and played golf in Vermont with a friend of his. So he did it that weekend as well. And I was like, no problem. My mom and dad will be super helpful. It'll be great. And we did really, really well until it was time to change the pump cartridge. And I laid everything out on the kitchen table and I had all my supplies and I was ready to go. And we had no pump cartridges. My husband was in charge of packing and he was not even there for me to yell at. And I did not have any idea what to do. So I called the endocrinologist and he said, you need a Lure Lock needle it was an Animus pump, which has this cartridge that's very similar to Tandem's, except it had this weird thing that it would fold in on itself. And actually, as I'm saying that, it's nothing at all like Tandem's.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
You are the worst.
I'm the worst. I guess it's more like Medtronics. I don't know, but it's nothing like Tandem. Sorry about that. So we didn't know what to do. We needed that Lorlock needle. You can't go to CVS and get a Lorlock needle. So my dad went to the hospitals. I'm going to go to all the hospitals. It was a Friday night. I'm going to find a Lorlock needle. So I was like, that's never going to happen. So I called my certified diabetes educator, who is a mom of kids with type 1. God, I'm watching too many things. This is going to be terrible. I shouldn't talk on my own stuff. I've told this story a million times. She's got 2 kids with type 1, one of whom is on the chat. So I'm not nervous at all that he's there. And she called me back and said, you don't need any of that. You can reuse the cartridge. And she showed me how. She talked me through it. You kind of like put your fingernail in and you can kind of pull it up and wiggle it out and then take a needle, pull insulin out of the vial and put it in the cartridge. So totally not FDA approved, totally off label, right? Tons of bubbles in the cartridge that we had to do. But we got through it. And it's a very abbreviated version of the story. I think I was reliving some of the panic I was having as I was telling it. But I learned that, we were going to be able to MacGyver our way out of many a situation. That was the first of many times that we forgot things. And we kept going and we were fine after that. I later learned, and Maura, you are very good at doing the twilight bark, which is a phrase that you have used many times to get like, we need help. So I know now with social media, I probably could have put that out and said, does anybody in this area have something? But this was before Facebook. This was before iPhones. So my husband in Vermont had actually, with his friend, sat down and called all of his acquaintances in Vermont. And they found somebody who used an Animas pump and they were going to drive it to New York with supplies. Wow. So we avoided that. Phew. Okay, so you got the worst storyteller out of the way. That was riddled with mistakes. And I think I'm having hot flashes retelling.
Professional broadcaster.
I'm telling you, right? I'm a professional. Don't try this at home. All right, Maura, can you share a story with us while I try to get my heart rate back to normal?
I'm still trying to decide which of the 9,000.
Well, that was the only mistake I ever made.
So I'm going to do 2 quickly. So the first one is I used to have coffee with this group of people every morning down in the waterfront. I live right in Plymouth, Mass, right by the historic district. Tina came to see me there, and Michelle.
That's cupcakes, yeah.
The rest of you people get here. Anyway, not now. So it was like a firefighter and a cop and a DPW worker and the woman who owned the deli and me and this lawyer. We used to have coffee every morning. So I forgot that they don't understand diabetes humor like we do. And Lauren had misbehaved. I don't remember what she did, not important. And we were sitting around. I was saying, oh, Lauren misbehaved last night, blah, 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 whatever she did. And they said, what did you do? And I said, well, I looked at her and I said, see, that's why you have diabetes. You're bad. Your sister doesn't have it. She's good. And I waited for them to laugh and everybody just went, oh my God, how can you say that to a child? I'm like, oh my God, obviously I didn't say that to her. That's like her forgetting that the rest of the world doesn't understand our humor. The other one I thought of was kind of similar to yours, but not quite. We were in Washington, D.C., and Lauren was going to testify at this huge joint Senate hearing on research. She was the only patient from any kind of disease group. It was all like researchers and scientists and her. And I had flown out to California from Massachusetts for a JDRF International Board meeting. It was an important one for some reason. And then flown back within like 24 hours to meet Lauren and Sean in DC. And so by the time I got there, they were asleep and I was exhausted because I'd flown to California back in one day and gone to the board meeting. And in the middle of the night, I heard Lauren get up to go to the bathroom a couple of times. Now, she was supposed to be testifying. We were supposed to be in the hearing room at 8:30. At 5 a.m., she's puking her brains. Kinked sight. Should have got up when I heard her, but I was so tired. So I'm like, slamming insulin into a rage bolus saying, we have to testify. And we go to like a meeting ahead of time and she's still white as a ghost and she didn't even wash her hair because she felt so lousy. And I was like, I don't know if we're going to make it. And then all of a sudden she's like, can I have a piece of fruit? And I'm like, she's rallying. So it turned out because when we got to my mistake worked out when we got to the Senate hearing, Senator Kennedy, who the cat is named after, took us in ahead of time and we met like 9 senators in this private room. And I told the story about what Lauren's night and morning had been. And they were like they had no idea that diabetes can turn like that. So my screw up actually helped make her testimony more effective. So I'm a really bad diabetes mom, but apparently it works out in a good way. Wait, say hi to Lauren.
Oh my gosh!
Hi,
Hello,
Remember that day?
Lauren. Yes. Yeah, you are a bad diabetic, Lauren. And before we go to Christina, I need to mention, and I apologize, it says in the description for this event that there is a contest and all you have to do is comment. And I just want to reiterate, if you comment, and we'd love to hear your mistakes too, if you'd like to comment on them, and if we don't get to them here, I'll read them on a podcast episode. If you want to comment mistakes, that's fine, but any comment will enter you. And the prizes are, there's a $50 Amazon gift card, a $25 Amazon gift card, and 2 copies, 1 and 1, of the World's Worst Diabetes Mom. And there's also a promo code if you want to buy the book. If you use the promo code WORST, all that information is in the event on the Project Blue November page, where you are watching this right now. Okay. Woo.
Like
Christina. You're such a pain in the ass. WORST. Only you would think of liverwurst.
I always got in trouble in class.
Christina with the beautiful. First of all, Christina, you're putting us all to shame. I got excited that I washed my hair. You have like this beautiful. Did you do that?
I had another call earlier. It's one of those like foamy things that you just roll a ponytail, like you roll your ponytail down.
It looks
actually really easy to do and very, yeah.
I have 2 hairstyles. This and this. So what is yours?
One.
You have one, Mark. And Christina, after your story, I'm probably going to flip you with Tiffany.
Okay.
So we'll get her back in here, but go right ahead.
Sounds good. So, like Stacey said, my daughter Issa, she was diagnosed before she was 2. So she's 9 now, and so this will be her 8th year of living with type 1. And before I came in to get on this, she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm going to talk to Stacey." And she's, "About what?" And I said, "About the mistakes I've made with type 1 diabetes." She goes, "You mean today?" I said, not necessarily today, but was there something specific that I did today? And so
that is brilliant.
Yes, exactly. 9-year-olds. But what I was going to say was, last fall, we decided to take our kids to New York City for the first time, and we live right outside of Cleveland. And so we were going to go and spend a long weekend in the city. And we are on the airplane, and all of a sudden we heard the beep, 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 meaning Issa's Omnipod was about to expire. So we, thought nothing of it. And we had, the 8-hour window. So we get to the hotel. So, okay, we're going to change her pod before we go out and, adventure in the city, and open up her kit. No insulin. We had nothing. And we had just arrived in New York City. And to your point, Stacey, thank goodness we immediately thought, like, let's get on social media. We know people who are near here. One of our main contacts who's normally in the city, we reached out to her, and she's a young adult with type 1. And she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm, in the Hamptons at a wedding or something." I don't know. And we were like, "No, how dare you do that? You need insulin." And so anyway, at that time, my immediate reaction, so this is my bigger mistake, was I very much would have normally blamed Greg, my husband, and said, "Why didn't you check to see if we had insulin?" But I didn't. I looked at Issa and said, "Why didn't you check to see if you had insulin in your kit?" And at the time, literally, she was 8 years old. And so I said, I was telling Stacey this, that one of the mistakes that I've, and Greg reminds me of this all the time. He says, "Christina, she's 9, because she's like a 35-year-old in a 9-year-old body." I mean, she's had to do over the last 8 years. I mean, she doesn't, she was not even 2 when she was diagnosed. So this is what she does. And we're so used to her being overly responsible for her age that I just assumed, she would check her kit before venturing off to the big city for the weekend. And, anyway, so I took it out on her, and I'm still doing, I still do that on occasion where we'll be somewhere and she won't have something. I'll think, "Oh, come on, Issa, you got to be more responsible," or, or she's not paying attention to her Dexcom. "Issa, you got to do this." And Greg says, "Christina, 9, she's and she does it like once in a blue moon, so, but anyway, our story ended up that we were able to get a prescription, at a local pharmacy. It cost us an arm and a leg, but, and Issa said, "But it was worth it." And I said, "Yes, it was worth it." It was a very expensive mistake, but yeah. So I'd say that was probably the biggest mistake that we've made. And now it's, we do kind of a check of everything before we head out anywhere. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's so hard, especially when you have a very mature 9-year-old. I think, and we're going to go to Mark in a second, but I think you guys, veteran, older moms, well, older children moms, we're all older moms. You can say there's this golden age of like between 6 and 10, when even if they're not remembering everything, they're trying to be super responsible.
Yeah.
Right. And there's like, you see a lot of, I will just warn you if you're watching with younger children, this isn't everybody. There's a lot of diabetes superstars, right? They're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then they kind of just change because kids change. And I think it's very developmentally appropriate not to be super interested in rah-rah about diabetes because it starts to suck. So, Christina, we'll keep you in mind for the next couple of years.
Thank you.
All right, let me change you out.
Okay.
And Mark, we're going to go to you. If you can go ahead and start talking while I figure out how to do this. I wish I could have everybody at once, but this is silly. I just invited too many people and my friends all said yes. All right, so Tiffany is with us again, but I'm going to skip you. I'm sorry, I'm going to go right to Mark so we can hear from him. And Mark, I know that you are perfect, so thank you for coming on to try to share something with us.
So that was the dialogue that Stacey and I had when she invited me to this thing. She said, we're doing this whole live thing and parents are going to come on and talk about their worst mistakes with diabetes. Would you be interested? And I texted her back and said, sorry, I can't join. I don't make mistakes. So, and I left this little hanging there just for a few moments before Stacey came back to me and said, are you being serious?
Like I was trying, I don't know Mark that well. And I was like, some people get a little bent out of shape. So thankfully,
No, daily. In fact, it'll make you all happy to know that I got dragged over the coals yesterday by Ella's endo during her checkup because I thought I was doing a really great job of sugar surfing with the basal bumps and on and off on the basal and everything else and just staying close to the number. I was pretty proud of myself, but I got taken task.
What didn't he like about it? I'm a little afraid to ask, and you know me knowing my philosophy. But what didn't he like about it?
It's a she, and she.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so we'll take this offline, but let me give you the abridged version, which is it made it difficult for her to see whether or not Ella's basal rates were that's the way around I wanted it, were where they needed to be. It was difficult for the doctor to make the calculations in regards to adjustments, which, by the way, I've been making along the way anyway, and Ella's number was looking good. So I felt a little frustrated because I was like, well, surely her number being within range and healthy is more important than you necessarily having the most perfect calculations. I don't know. She's the doctor. She went to med school. She's the expert.
She said, leave your kid alone and stop messing with the pump every 5 minutes, Dad.
Yeah. Bite my tongue. But anyway.
We'll talk offline. I'm sure that's not what happened.
Off the beaten path there. Yes. So, so obviously we make mistakes daily. I certainly do. That last story really resonated with me because my daughter Ella, 12 years old, is 12, going on 40. She's incredibly mature. She does an amazing job with her type 1. And I do have those moments though where I question what she's doing, or I inadvertently blurt something out and I feel bad for it after the fact. And so that's a good reminder. My story is from early days. I think Ella was maybe 3 months after diagnosis. We were going to go to Camp Sweeney, which is a T1D camp in Texas in the summer. And they have this thing where they invite you in, I think it's February, March timeframe, to come in and check out the camp. So you go out there for a day and you check it out and you meet all the people and look at the activities and so on. So Ella and I we were in Colorado at the time. We'd flown to Texas, flying to a different state, getting out of our element. There seems to be a thread here, doesn't there? Oftentimes we all get caught when we're out of our element. And we were in a hotel room and her CGM needed changing at the time. She was on the G5. And if you remember, in order to apply the G5 to somebody, you had to use a medieval contraption.
Oh, yeah.
The thing looked terrifying. The functionality was terrifying. The noises it made were terrifying, particularly when you're just 3 months in. So anyway, I'm doing the whole thing, and you take the sticker off and you put it on the body, and then you have to snap something and then push down a plunger, and then it was very, very involved. I forgot to disengage the main plunger part from the kind of applicator head, if you call it that for the moment. And so I got everything pressed down, I locked everything in, and then pulled it up off of Ella's stomach before I'd set down the plunger. And of course she cried out in pain. I just burst into tears.
Oh.
It was utterly terrifying. We're 3 months in. I had no idea what I was doing. And of course, because I wasn't properly prepared, I didn't have another one. So what was racing through my mind was, oh my God, I've really hurt my daughter. I screwed up. What's my wife going to say? And I don't have another one. I don't have another of these CGM things. And I'm not skilled enough 3 months in to do this without it. Now, I probably was in reality, but those were the thoughts that were racing through my head. Anyway, I set the plunger back down. We kind of worked it in. It wasn't easy. And my daughter was incredibly brave while we did it, because I think it was quite painful for her, for me doing all of that. And then we pushed the plunger down and everything worked. And thank heavens the CGM worked. But that moment sticks with me. And that's the first time I've shared that out. It's it really gives me chills even sort of think about it. I just felt so petrified at the time. So anyway.
There's nothing worse, because I think we all feel guilty about hurting them already, especially in the very beginning when you're so worried about every little thing. And I have a story in the book about being more nervous. Being nervous helped me with the G5 because it was so horrible, and I had to do it so quick because I was afraid I was going to pull it out of him. But you actually did, so I didn't do it. I have to go to Michelle. I'm sorry, Mark, because we had an entrance during your talk, Mark. So wait, hey. Jordan.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Great. Do you want to talk about all the times your mom was perfect when you were growing up with diabetes?
I never, ever made a single mistake.
I don't know. I'm losing track of it. I'm running out of fingers.
We try our best, as everyone does, but you know.
What is this? It's like a talk session?
We're on Facebook Live. On Project Blue November, and we're talking about our world's worst diabetes moments.
We're kind of like doing a TV panel, Jordan. So be professional.
Jordan,
we're treating this like a little show.
I'm the only guy, Jordan. So stick around. Help me out here.
What'd you say, Maura?
I said I'm the only guy, so you need to stick around and help me out here.
Wait, Maura, what did you say?
Go on.
Okay. All right. So I had a couple things that came to mind. There's always the usual. I gave Humalog instead of Lantus, and we had to have an ice cream party. I pinched the skin to give him a shot, and it went right through him, and
I did that.
A shot into the finger, and
yes,
those are the usual things. But on top of that, we've had a couple things. The first time, or not the first time, but one time I left him alone with his little brother. He was about 11, and so his little brother was like 5, and something happened to his sight while I was gone, and he decided he would just change it all on his own because I left him with no instruction apparently, and I wasn't even gone that long, and I walked in the door when I came home, and he was on the floor in our downstairs bathroom right inside on the floor, and around him was all the trash for about 5 sites. And he usually wears his sight on his rear end, and so he's bleeding from like 5 different spots on his rear end. His little brother is curled up in a corner in the bathroom sobbing. And the dogs, he's laying on the floor, and the dogs are both like right next to him, like, oh, no. And he's just, his pants are down and his butt's bleeding and trash is everywhere. And I walked in and it struck me funny. And I laughed at the whole thing of these poor children bleeding and crying and fairly traumatized. And I burst out laughing at the whole thing.
Jordan, we're so glad you could stop by for that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I opted for the embarrassing stories of me, so you put a face to the story.
And then I have a travel story too. Oh, did you want to ask a question, Stacey?
I was just going to ask him if he remembered and if he was, irreparably harmed by that and could never, move on from it.
I don't really remember that. No.
Yay!
I don't pay attention much. So
maybe I shouldn't have brought it up.
A lot of the stories she has, I don't even remember.
I think that most of our kids are that way. And the other one was a travel story, Michelle.
Yes, everyone else has a travel story, so I'll add one of ours. We travel a lot. We travel internationally a lot. We fly constantly. We're international several times a year. So we're usually very good about our diabetes supplies and keeping things separated and making sure that we don't have everything all in one bag. I mean, I talk about diabetes travel at conferences and things, and I try to write about it as much as I can. So you'd think I would know exactly what to do. But we were in Italy and we'd separated everything out. And we had one backpack that had our spare pump and some other things in it and site changes and whatnot. And I carried it like on the front of me all day long because we were in Florence and there are gypsies and it's everything, and we made it and we were fine and nothing happened. And we went up to the car, which was up on a hill overlooking the city. And we put everything in the car because we were going to leave. And I went, let's just walk over to the edge and take a picture. And we walked over to the edge and took a picture and came back and the windows were smashed in the car and the bag was gone.
Oh my God.
Me, who knows better than anything and who carried it on my front all day, hugging it like it was, gold, which it was, threw it in the car and walked away.
So you lost not only the insulin, you lost
the pump, the spare pump that we had gotten from Medtronic, which, by the way, insurance did not cover and we had to pay in full for that spare pump.
Wow.
Yay.
All right. Oh, I liked the other story better. No. Michelle, I'm going to switch you. We're going to go to Tina, but I'm going to switch you out with Christina just to get her back in here. Different set of, I don't know what I'm doing. This is like a director. Take camera 2, take camera 3. All right, Tina, let's go to you. And you have, as we said earlier, you've got 3 kids. So you have obviously, you know exactly what you're doing.
Right. There's a lot of mistakes when you have 3 kids, all with type 1. It was fun. I was just actually chatting with another D-mom that has multiples, and we were actually talking about how we have dosed the wrong child at various times. So that's not what we're going to talk about today. But the one I was just going to talk about today was something that I just feel like everybody has to have done, like whether it's to themselves or to their child, is use the wrong insulin at the wrong time. So, when my youngest, he was the first one diagnosed at age 2. This was before he was on a pump. He didn't get on a pump for like 6 months because it was back in 2007 where our endo was like, no, you have to be on you have to do shots for a year before you can have a pump and whatever. So he's still on shots. We're fairly new into it. He was diagnosed in February. This was prior to Friends for Life. So it was somewhere in that first, 4 months or whatever it was. And so he takes his Lantus, he would take Lantus at night. We'd give him the Lantus shot at night. And then Novolog shots to cover corrections in food. And he ate a crap ton of food. It's just like all carbs, and he even had dessert. It was just, and he's 2. So like his doses are pretty small, like half a unit covers 30 grams kind of thing. But he ate like 120 grams, something like some major amount of food, right? For a 2-year-old, like to stuff all that food in them. His Lantus shot was only a half a unit. Like we always had to make sure that we got the syringes that had the half unit marks because he's so tiny. And so here he just ate this big lunch and he was already high too. Like he was already in like the 300s before lunch. So his Novolog dose was going to be pretty substantial. I mean, I don't remember. This was like almost, 13 years ago.
Wow.
More than that? I don't even remember now. But it was like 4 or 5 units that he was going to take of Novolog. It was going to be a crap ton of insulin. And instead of picking up the Novolog vial, I picked up the Lantus vial, and I gave him 6 units of Lantus.
Ooh.
And, or 5, something like that, some major amount though, right? And I noticed it as soon as I put the vial down, because the vials are slightly different. Like the Lantus was skinnier and taller, and the Novolog was short. And I was like, wait a minute. Holy shit. Oh, I'm cussing. I don't mean it just happens. I don't really know. I thought somebody once said that if you cuss, you're smarter. So I'm,
my stars and garters.
All right. I don't know. Like, hopefully they're leaving me out, or probably not. It's live. My apologies. But like, so, I realized what I had done, and it's only been like, I don't know, it's like 11 o'clock in the day. It was an early lunch. So now we've got a huge amount of time. I've got like 24 hours where I have to be so on checking his blood sugars. Like, look, this is pre-CGM. So I'm like checking his blood sugars all the time, and he keeps going lower and lower. And even on like the half unit of Lantus, which was like the smallest amount we could give him, he would still drop into the 40s at night. And so now he's got 6 units of Lantus coursing through his veins for 24 hours. I mean, I pumped that kid full of so much food. This was before anybody realized we could do the micro doses of glucagon.
Yeah.
That would have come in so handy back then.
Did you make it through all the way at home, though? You didn't have to bring him to the hospital?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was in contact with the endo, and, you know, I didn't sleep for the 24 hours. We just checked him and checked him and checked him and kept pumping him full of Smarties. He ate so many Smarties.
Oh.
He just loved those damn Smarties. And he'd walk around just eating Smarties. You know, he was like 3 years old at that time. So that was fun. But I mean, I feel like that's something that a lot of us have done. Like either take Novolog when we're supposed to give Lantus or Lantus, you know, switching the 2 insulins. I feel like that's something that a lot of us do.
Yes, I'm gonna ask you, the crowd. Hang on, we got to switch out because Mark's got to run. So let me interrupt you, Mark. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it, and I want to talk to you more about that because I think your daughter. He's leaving. He's not even listening. Okay, goodbye. Off with your head. Goodbye. Back with you. I was going to say more about him feeling bad about hurting his daughter, but he did fine. But back to Tina, some really good advice I got, and we've never messed up the different kinds of insulins. I can't believe. But the good advice I got once was take a rubber band and wrap it around the long lasting, or just pick one, but always do it the same. So either the long lasting or the fast acting, wrap it around, and then your hands, after a little bit of time, will know the difference. So your hands will understand even before your brain does if you grab the wrong bottle.
Which is funny that you say that, because if somebody has not seen the movie Knives Out, just cover your ears for a minute. This might have a spoiler. I'm not sure, but
wait. Michelle we got to mute Michelle. Hold on.
Sorry.
All right, go ahead. I couldn't hear you.
There's a bit of the movie Knives Out where it involves 2 vials of medicine, and we saw that in the theater, and my heart rate went, like, I had a flashback to when I did that. And it was it was like one of those, like, I saw my son and the vial, like, it was so crystal clear. Like, that just brought that memory, like, right up to the front because of that movie with the vials and how, you know, you should know by the way you hold it and the viscosity and whatever. And I don't know, but it was a funny and, extreme moment for me there in the movie theater to have that memory.
So on this call, there's 6 of us. Who's messed that up? I messed it up a different way.
That's gonna be my story, actually.
And Tina did 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. All right. And I'll tell my mess up if we have time on that. So go ahead, Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. I live in Asheville, North Carolina, and my son is diagnosed 6.5 years ago. No. We were on shots for over 5 years. We've been on a pump for 5 months now. So both of my stories are about too much insulin. And one was exactly, we were at the beach a couple of summers ago, maybe 3 summers ago. And he was good. We had pens for both of the insulins. My son is now interested in what I'm doing, so he's come to sit down with me. But we had pens for both insulins, and he was about to go to bed, and I gave him somewhere around 14 or 15 units of Novolog instead of Lantus or Levemir, and immediately realized it. And I'd never done that before, and I had not seen all the stories online, so I didn't have the comfort that I would have now, that everybody does it. So we started giving him snacks, and we were at the beach with my family. So there were some snacks around, but I was convinced that was not enough. And that I overestimated how much we were going to have to feed him overnight to make that work. So I left him with his dad, and I went to the gas station, and I bought it all. I bought everything, like 9 Gatorades and candy bars and zebra cakes and Pop-Tarts. I mean, I bought it all. And it really didn't take as much as I thought to fix it. In fact, to send him sky high. And my whole family ate the snacks for the next 4 days. I fed like 8 people for 4 days. on what I bought at the gas station that night.
Wow.
My other one was we don't eat a lot of fast food, but we do love Chick-fil-A, and we have down what he eats and how many carbs it is and how far in advance to pre-bolus. And so we were on the way to Chick-fil-A, and I had him pre-bolus when he was supposed to. We went through the drive-thru, we waited in a long line, got to the window, and I didn't have my wallet. And I always have my wallet. So I just didn't know what to do. I didn't understand. I'd had it in my hand. So we drove back home, and the whole time I'm only concerned about my wallet. Where could it be? What have I done? I'm freaking out. I'm not concerned about anything. This was the first time on a Dexcom I'd ever seen 2 arrows down, really low. But right when we hit the driveway, I just happened to look down at my phone. This whole time, I've not thought about diabetes or the fact that I've given him insulin. We hit the driveway, and I just happened to look down at my phone, and it was 42, 2 arrows down. And I couldn't figure out why. I was like, why in the world would that be happening? I was like, oh, we gave you insulin like 30 minutes ago. So I left the car doors open. My wallet was on the ground next to where I parked. Left the car doors open, raced in, and of course, just started pumping him full of sugar and everything else we could find to get that up. But it was, I remember the moment of looking down, and that's the first time I had never seen 2 arrows down. We were pretty new to the Dexcom at that point. So, but I will say it does happen, I think, to most everyone. And so anyone watching this that's new, I hope you take away that it happens and it's okay.
Oh, everything happens and everything can all be fixed. I'm going to quickly tell my Lantis story, and then anybody wants to chime in, we'll probably do another 10 minutes, and then we're going to have to wrap it up. But so Benny really wanted to change his own cartridge. And of course, he wanted to do it at a time when we weren't home. He was with a babysitter. And we walked in the door as he was completing it. But it's a good thing we did, because he had filled his pump with Lantis. He just went in the fridge and was like, oh, this must be the insulin, right? That makes perfect sense. So we were able to prevent that. I think if you had seen me, it would have been one of those slow motion, like, way to grab the pump. So, but we've had some really amazing comments from people. And again, you're all entered in the contest as soon as you comment. But everybody basically saying this is real stuff, and they feel better because we're all such dinglers. But that's what happens, right? We all mess up. Maura, we had Lauren Popperhead, and if you were just joined us, Lauren has probably been diagnosed the longest out of our kids. Does she ever still make a mistake?
Of course she does. And I would call her back down, but I can hear her upstairs running an advocacy training in my office. So, yeah, it's really important to, all joking aside, although it's hard for me to put joking aside, to remember that they are humans. And like Christina and the gentleman who just left my brain, Mark, just, I forgot things. Sometimes I go to the store and I pull out of my driveway and I'm like, crap, my wallet. And I run inside and get my wallet. And then I pull out and I'm like, darn, my sunglasses. And I run back in, and then I go to the store and I get home and I'm like, I never got the milk, right? It's just human nature. And diabetes is so much that our endocrinologist used to say when we forgot something, that's evidence that you're living your life. So just keep that in mind. And your kids are way too young, this, but for people listening, if your kids are young, even teenagers, I used to have to bring my daughter things to school all the time. Thankfully, I have an office in the house and I live a mile away. But one day the secretary is like, when are you going to start teaching her a lesson? And I'm like, I don't know. She doesn't live near me anymore. Like, why would I not help out my daughter? I would help out a friend. And the other thing I will say is that Lauren would say to you, if I called her in right now, she would say, it is really, 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 really hard to kill someone with diabetes. And she knows, because she has made every mistake that you can make with insulins and dosing and everything else. And I know that feeling when you give them all that wrong insulin, but everything's correctable, and even in a short period of time. But just keep that in mind. So we all need to cut ourselves some slack, and we need to cut our kids some slack. And
Great.
What I like, it's really hard because we care about them, but we have to remember that we're not just raising their diabetes, we're raising them as human beings and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, if I could call her down, she would say, it's really hard to kill someone with diabetes. I can tell you over 23 years, I've had every experience possible, which I think is good to hear. You know?
I do too. I think we're going to get kicked off in a minute. Did everybody get that refresh? Did everybody see that?
No.
Okay, I'm going to start wrapping it up because my whole studio just refreshed itself. So I'm gonna let me say a little thing, and then if we have another couple minutes and they let us stay on, we'll go around real quick. As you're watching this, please again comment. We're giving away prizes. The World's Worst Diabetes Mom is my book, and that is one of the prizes. We're going to give away Amazon gift cards as well. We will be replaying this if everything went well. But we really appreciate that. You know, we're all just really, I mean, frankly, we are all ordinary diabetes mom. I don't think there's a medical expert among us, but somehow we're doing okay. So I'm going to go around. I know, Elmora, you were bad. You started off bad. But I think what you've also seen here is that humor really is the key, right? And it is a key to help you cope. So I don't expect anybody to have any huge words of wisdom, but I would like to give you all the chances. We're looking here to just kind of go around. So Tina, I'll just start with you, and then we'll go around the horn. I'll let everybody say goodbye. So Tina, just say goodbye, say hello, say what's up, anything you want to say at the end to wrap it all up.
No, I mean, I would just, for anybody who hasn't read Stacey's book yet or listened to it on Audible, I'm a huge Audible person, and I actually really enjoyed listening to it. Because, it's just like, you're having a cup of tea at the table with Stacey. And Maura's book, if you have teenagers or you have, kids who will be teenagers one day, like if your kid's not past that already, I would definitely say pick up Maura's book because both of them are gold. I don't really have any real words of wisdom or anything. I think, Stacey, in your email, you said if anybody had anything you wanted to add to the prize thing, I have one Stick With It sugar wine tumbler left that new in the box. I just took it out to show it. I have one left from a set that I had purchased for a DMOM meetup. I'm happy to throw that in there, and I will take care of shipping. You just need to let me know who it goes to, Stacey.
You got it. Thank you. And of course, we will be linking up many of these lovely people have blogs and other things that you can read. And I will put that in the chat as well.
I haven't read for a long time, including
your
book.
But going back and reading your blog is incredibly valuable. I go back and read old blogs.
There's some big mistakes in there. You can definitely find some big.
Michelle, any parting words?
Just, like you said, we all make mistakes. Everyone's going to make mistakes. You have to learn to laugh and to roll with it, as we have. In one of the groups that I manage, that's for people that are parents of newly diagnosed kids, we actually have a file called "Oops, I Can't Believe I Did That," and we just keep adding to all the mistakes, and that's something that they can go and look at to know right off the bat that mistakes will be made. And the sooner they know that, the less pressure they'll put on themselves to be perfect all the time, because no one is.
That's awesome. Thank you. Christina, I know you gave us hair tips earlier, or maybe that was off the air, but it was fabulous.
Hopefully.
Parting shots here.
I'd say my parting words is, and I think we heard this from everyone, is we all have made these mistakes. Our kids are making mistakes. And I said, that we have to take it easy on them. But my parting words are actually for the parents or caregivers that are listening, to give yourself a pass also. And we talk about self-care all the time. We talk about it, but we don't actually do it. And just a 2-second story. My very first time I went to Friends for Life, I had the retinal exam done, and they sent me on to get the further testing done. And I don't know if any of you were in the moms meetup there that year, but I went to the moms meetup right after that, where they had told me that because of stress, that I was starting to have some pretty significant vision issues. And Dr. Ben said, you need to take care of yourself too. And he used the quote, "You can't pour from an empty cup." He said, as much as our priority is our kids at this moment, especially when you're newly diagnosed, which we were, I was not focused on me at all. And I would say it took several years before I actually heeded his advice. But I'd say give yourself a pass too, as a parent or a caregiver, and really you can't be there for your kids in the right way if you're not managing your own self and staying healthy for them. So those are my words of wisdom, aside from the foamy bun roller thing.
Those are great words. Those are great words. Tiffany?
I echo all of everything that's been said. I would just add that if you are not in a community of some sort, which you hopefully are if you're watching this, but if you're not, that has been a tremendous help to me. Stacey connected me with Michelle and Maura and others online, and that to me gave me such a positive space to laugh and to get questions answered and to hear stories like this, and that's been invaluable. Thanks for including me today, Stacey.
Absolutely. I think this was wonderful. I'm sorry Mark had to go, but it made it a lot easier. Next time we're only 6 people. I think that's it. Please, we'll put some links in. Project Blue November, Michelle and Maura, thank you so much for giving this little platform tonight to do this. We'll
Absolutely.
put more Oh, this is wonderful. And everybody who's been watching and commenting, we so appreciate it. Remember, here's my really bad self-promotion. It's promo code WORST, like I'm the worst mom, not Maura eats a liverwurst sandwich. And I'll put more information on that. But I think that's it. We're going to wrap it up, you guys. Everybody good? Ta-da!
Yeah.
No. All right. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll try to do this again. I probably don't know how to end it. It'll probably be a major rub show at the end here. But thank you once again. Have a great night, everybody. Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.